Alright, so leveling has been out and I've been playing as much as I've been able to, and here's my review. I'm level 33 at the moment. I could have progressed a bit more to make this review. Actually, I really wanted to finish the game before making it, but I guess I'll talk more about that later, so I want to reserve that. But being very time-gated as this game is, getting to these game modes, which are currently locked for me, will take me multiple days, if not a week, week and a half, 2 weeks. So I will be making it as maybe not a late game review, but a sort of early to mid game. I have unlocked all the jobs. This is the goal I had. If I can unlock all of the jobs for Jinwoo, that would be when I can make the review. And once I talk about Jinwoo, you understand why. But yeah, the game releases May 8th. This is they are calling early access, I think, but this is not an early access. There is a very expensive shop and very much loading. You can most certainly fully whale on the game at the moment. As you can see, $100 boxes. This is not early access. An early access game doesn't just let you full-on gacha whale day one. This is what I would call a soft launch like Black Clover did. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that, but whatever. Doesn't matter. Is the game good? Short answer, the game is good. There will be gameplay in the background, so you can, have a look at the most important aspect of the game, which is the gameplay. The gameplay itself is very, very good. If I was to compare to like other, similar games I've played of this, wouldn't be any gacha games. I have not played much of Genshin. I only really have a point of comparison for like Dark Souls games and Nioh, which I don't think is a fair comparison. Comparing to those games, yeah, it's definitely worse, but as a gacha game, solo leveling gacha game, if you really like solo leveling like I do, the gameplay is phenomenal, and playing with Jinwoo is very fun. Dodging the attacks feels very good. Canceling attacks, chaining attacks into combos that the game gives you once you dodge and once you throw enemies up and throw enemies down, all feels very fluid, and the gameplay itself is really well made. It gives me a lot of hope that Origin will follow suit, because it is the best part of the game, which is, I guess, good, right? Because it's the gameplay. But I was shoehorn in to the gameplay section of the review why you shouldn't play the game right now. There are a ton of technical issues, and for what I've been hearing from people that live in Canada, these are not exclusive to people, playing in other regions like me. The game just has very terrible performance in terms of, for one, the loading screens are very, very, very long and very often. A lot of the times, I just click on another tab and just watch something else while the loading screen is going. It's been worse. It was worse the first day I played and the second day I played. Today, while playing, it wasn't that bad. But, not that bad in comparison. But it's noticeable and annoying. Also, there's a terrible bug, which I think I have a video I can put on screen. This is the bug right here. Nothing happens. The stage ends, your character just stands there on his winning pose. Nothing happens. You have to restart the game. It's very annoying because it happens extremely often, and people told me this has been happening to them all the time too, so it's not just me. Where the game just doesn't load and it's stuck at the winning screen and you have to restart, which on the PC version is incredibly annoying because you have to re-log in every time you open the game. So when it happens 5, 6, 7 times in a row, yeah, it gets pretty annoying. So the technical issues hopefully will be fixed by the time Global comes out. And at that point, cool. I think that solves like half of the issues of the game, which is great. They have a month to fix it, surely. They will do it. I'm front loading the video with stuff I'm praising, so next up is the story. The story is very well done. You can really feel that there's been real work put into this, even though I would say it's kind of unfortunate that they didn't go with a full 3D. I want to watch the cutscene. I guess I have to put some in the background right now, but they went with having a lot of the story 3D modeled like Grand Cross, but also a ton of it as manhwa panels just flashing on screen. I would say the manhwa panels feel lazy, but there is voice acting. And voice acting for parts that aren't in the anime yet. So if you want to watch the story, already, like through its, you know, full, not the whole manhwa because they don't have it yet, obviously, but for what they have already, which is quite a bit more than the anime, you could like have a good experience watching from here. The story also has like side chapters, which these kind of suck. It's just a bunch of repeat stages, but it does give some extra insight on some side characters. Like, for example, let me go in this one. These two guys, right? The guys from the beginning. Like, the side story, I'm just going with them, just kind of goes through, you know, what they probably experienced amidst what happened in the story, right? Like, it's not their whole story, but it's just some extra context that wasn't in the manhwa, but probably makes sense if you read it or watched it. So it's neat, but let me exit this. I've been playing all these side stories, and you kind of have to because you need them for XP. Loading, loading, loading. All of these, right? All of these. Look, there's 1, 2, 3, 6. They're all the same mission. So you're gonna be on the side story. You're basically just facing the exact same mission multiple times. It gets a little less bad when they go in the normal story. Towards like the later chapters, like here and here, but like the side story is pretty annoying and you have to beat it. You have to. You don't have a choice because you need XP. Alright, I was talking about Jinwoo, and you might have noticed that the game actually has 2 different ways of being played. So if you go on the gacha, you see that I'm actually pulling for the S rank fire guy. I refuse to say his name. S rank fire guy. And there are characters here, and there's also weapons. Now, the way that they designed the game was that Jinwoo is its own thing. I don't know if there will be banner unit Jinwoos. I think there could be. I could talk about in the end of the section, but Jinwoo is its own thing. It's a RPG character where you level up, you know, the stats. You can choose, you know, I've been mainly focusing on attack because, you know, screw anything else. But the weapons that you summon are pretty much all for him. All the SSR weapons that are summonable are all for him, and those do actually change his attacks a little bit, but mainly the skills are what matters. And you can pick and choose your skills with these runes as well, which change the skills a little bit. I will say the skills are a whole different thing, but just know Jinwoo has a good amount of skills. Like, look, you can change his gameplay quite a bit. So with the weapons and the skills, Jinwoo becomes, I think, the best part about the game, including the gameplay. His gameplay is the best part about the game, and you have a ton of stuff you can do with him. How you can play with him can be changed depending on the skills you choose, depending on your artifacts, which I'm very, very unlucky with them, but so far. And also the jobs. Now, the jobs, so far, they just followed the anime. I think that they could eventually give him jobs that he did not get in the anime, which would be very cool. But that's just me speculating for, you know, longevity of the game. I think that would make sense. Now, the side characters, so anyone that isn't Jinwoo, these are also playable characters, just in different kinds of stages. Throughout the story, you're mainly playing with Jinwoo, and these characters, as you might see from gameplay, you click like on the D-pad, and then they come in and they do a skill. So they're not actually playable characters in all of these stages, but for majority of the game, they actually are. If I go here, let's go game modes. If I go on the gates here, you see there are some okay, terrible time because all the gates I got actually are Jinwoo gates. I can't even rescan, but you're gonna have to trust me on this one, I guess. And I have stamina either because you only get these once a day. Oh man, the progression part of this video is gonna be very, it's gonna be very sad. But this game mode has gates where you can only play with those characters, and in core missions, which is where you get those 4 pieces of gear, you can only play, I also don't have any, sick, with those characters as well. So you do have to progress with both Jinwoo and the side characters. Battlefield of Trials as well, you have a section where you play as Jinwoo with your side characters, and a section where you play only as the side characters. And since we're talking about the gacha, let's go back there and talk about it. The gacha is pretty bad. I've summoned an okay amount. I did spend money on the game. I did my summoning video. And let me tell you, the rates are pretty bad, and they feel bad when summoning. So go rate info, 1.2% for SSR. That means you're never really seeing them. And let me tell you, the weapons do change Jinwoo quite a bit. So you want to have an SSR weapon. You want to have 2 SSR weapons because you actually can equip 2 of them. you can just change weapons mid-game, and they do change the, what the skills of the weapon are. And you have a regular banner, which is, I'm assuming going to be here forever. It says more than 100 days. I guess it's going to be here forever. It's going to be adding new characters. And you have the, special pickup. It's just standard, gacha stuff. And the regular banner has its own tickets, which is pretty nice. A lot of these tickets you get pretty frequently, I would say. Not this one, though. So this is where you're going to use your main currency. It's kind of like Genshin Impact, in a way. This banner is where you can actually rate up the characters that you want. And as you can see from the rate up, they do increase quite a bit, like 0.15. It's not like it's it's not like it's insane or anything, but it is an increase. So, and you gotta pull the characters if you want to max them out, right? Let's say you are a big whale. If you want to max out characters, you need to pull them a grand total of 10 times. So right here I have a character that I've given 5 dupes. Before you give 5 dupes, you can even see that. So you see, boom, 5 dupes, right? And then the characters get skills. Not skills like Jinwoo, but like they get, increases damage of X skill, increases burn damage, whatever, right? But I have a character here that have more than 5. After 5 dupes, they don't get any more skills, they just get stats. Plus 3% stats, plus 3% stats, plus... At the very least, that's the character that I've got over 5. I haven't got any others. I'm gonna assume for all characters it's the same, because she is like a similar character. All these SRs are like SSR characters where, they actually get skills. It's not like they just get stats from the dupes. So, I don't know how pay to win the game will be, truly. Because while the game is mainly single player, there is some like competition stuff. Like right here, this one, Gate Exploration Tournament. So those gates I showed, they have ratings, right? And if you do like a higher one, you get more points, stuff like that. And there are rank rewards. They aren't the biggest deal. I don't think... Oh, these are... These are... I think that if you don't care too much and don't spend any money, you're not gonna feel like you're that behind. This is not a PvP game. You're just gonna be like, okay, I need to wait a little bit more to beat this stage, because progression in this game is very, very slow. A lot of the time, I just had to close the game and wait. Because like I mentioned with the mines, if I go back here, all the gates, right? These gates, you beat the gate and then you can mine the gate for extra loot. You only get 11 keys per day, which is not a lot. These are, things you auto actually. So, after you're done with this, you just have to wait for the next reset. And this is pretty much how every system in the game works. And you have the activity funds as well, which, gives you some XP. And if you have the paid stuff, you get more, of course. And, I mean, right now, as we speak, I'm recording this video, and I don't have anything I can do in the game, really. I can't progress through story because my level is too low. And as much as I would like to say that, yeah, the gameplay is great, and, if you're very good at the game, it's a very high-skill game, you're going to be able to beat the story regardless, even if you don't summon any SSR characters, but that's a lie. How the game works, if I go to, chapter 4 here, right? As you can see, there is a timer on top of my head, or at the top right of my head. And the timer, if you, run out, it's not like you get less loot or anything, you just lose. So, no matter how good you are at, like, dodging, I guess, if you run out of time because your DPS isn't high enough, you lose. And your DPS is very much dependent on how good your stuff is. How good is the skills you have. The skills are pay to win. I can talk about it in a second. But most importantly, your level. Your level gives you so much stats that, you need to level up, and to get XP, you need to do all this stuff that's time-gated. So, if I go fuse, this is where you get your skills. And you need this currency, which is obviously something you can buy with money. And you have a true percentage chance of getting a good skill, which I'm still to get. And usually you're just going to get the blue ones, which aren't as good. And if you get enough of the good skills, you can make a much better skill with a 25% chance. You just have to waste those and hope that you get a good skill. But there's so many, and likely you're going to get one that you don't even want. But that's, this is where the game will get longevity, right? If you could just beat the story real quick and then, piss off, then the game wouldn't retain any players. So they have all these systems that, you know, you're gonna have to grind. Every day you gotta log in, and then you gotta do, let me go game modes, and then you gotta do your instance dungeon keys, you gotta do your encore missions keys, you gotta do your gates, and then you log off. So far, that's what it seems like. That's kind of like, I mean, pretty much every gacha game. So yeah, the game modes, I mean, they are interesting. They feel like they were very well thought out to be, you know, in universe of solo leveling. The gates are, you know, the gates from solo leveling. You clear them, and then, you know, you can pay, I guess you paid some, like, a mining team to go in, and then you receive the loot back. You don't actually, you know, spend any resource, but, I mean, I guess you could pay to make it faster. You get the resource from the gates you break, and then you have the, you know, just beating the bad guys for gear. It makes sense with the universe. Solo leveling is the perfect, you know, IP to be a game. So they actually did pretty good with those game modes. I think that they make sense. Alright, so to cap out the video, I'll do a little more touch on the progression stuff. I think that, you know, it makes sense to why the progression is super gated. Like if I go here in story again, right? There's a lot of stuff that is level gated, and I was capped for a long time. I couldn't play the game, and I really wanted to finish this video, but I couldn't because the only way for me to get XP would be to beat the next story. But all the story was level capped. I could not even attempt. I probably wouldn't be able to beat it because I was lower level and I didn't have enough DPS, but at least I could attempt it. But no, I had no way of getting any XP at all, unless I paid for it, of course. Used premium currency to buy more keys, stuff like that, which I refuse to do because this premium currency is not just readily available like that. This is not something that you should be doing for progression. You should be using your premium currency to either save for the next banner or summon for the current banner. You should not be using premium currency to just, you know, spawn more keys for the gates. Yeah, you're gonna get through the game faster, but you would get there eventually anyways. But using the premium currency for summoning isn't gonna happen again. You're not gonna get a premium currency again, but those keys you could have waited for. So progression is slow. The game will have longevity because the progression is slow. But let me tell you, it gets slow very fast. I felt forced to wait the first day I started playing the game. After like 2-3 hours of playing, I already felt like I had to wait for XP. So I think it's a little too hard capped on XP. It's a little too time gated, but maybe that's just me. They have like these these warnings on screen like, oh, you've played X amount of time, go touch grass. And I guess that's why they know that this game isn't meant to be played like multiple hours a day. You're supposed to log in, do your stuff, and leave. And then wait for the next day. And I guess that's fine, but, you know, just be warned, you're not going to be able to fully go crazy and degen on the game first day. You're going to be very much hard capped. But yeah, final thoughts on the game. I think the game is very good. I will keep playing it. I do hope that they fix the issues with the loading soon, and that's pretty much about it. I will be slowly progressing through the game. You know, I don't want to spend any money on keys to progress faster. It's a game. I can play other stuff, right? You can just play other stuff in the meanwhile and just have this as your, like, you know, oh, this is my daily, you know, 1 hour gacha or 30-minute gacha. So that's about it. That's all leveling. Alright, so I waited to end the video and everyone leave to talk about this. The job system is really cool. If you're not there in the anime yet where Jinwoo gets his job, then I would stop watching. But the Necromancer, being able to summon the, as you can see, your army of shadows, being able to summon the shadows is really cool. You can just summon them in game. I'll put the video on screen, and they kind of act like the ghosts, or what's the name again? The Elden Ring summons, and they kind of attack right there, and you can do multiple times per battle. And as you can see, there will be more to unlock. I've only unlocked Egress yet, and Egress summons his own army with him. It's really neat. I think that the implementation is very good. I was kind of concerned of how they were going to implement it into the game, but I felt like they did it very well. And I mean, I think Netmarble did a good job of making a solo leveling game actually solo leveling. Jinwoo should not be a summonable character. he is not how hunters work in the series. He constantly evolves, and with the job stuff, it makes sense. Like, we'll just summon for like 4 different versions of Jinwoo. I think it makes way more sense for him to be his own character, separate from the gacha. He's not entirely separate because you get the weapons from the gacha, but you get what I mean. And if they keep up, and, you know, honestly, I would love for them to give him more jobs that would just change how his gameplay works, and not necessarily make him better, because, I mean, you could just play as Night Lord, but ideally you want to play as the characters that actually can summon stuff. If they just give him other jobs that he didn't pick through the story, and then that could be either the gacha or just, you know, just added content through updates. I think that the game has a potential for longevity if they are smart about it, which with the popularity of Solo Leveling peaking right now because of the anime, I think they have a good opportunity to have a good game in their hands, right? So I just want to touch on that. Yeah, that's about it.